All right, my friends. Talk about friends. I get to go from one friend to another friend. This is like the best day ever. Get over here. Chris Dreesen from Slang Worldwide. How are you?
Ryan Reynolds. Patrick Lane.
What? Where did he go? Where did he go? Look at these jerseys you have on the wall too. I see Cowboys. Well, that's right. You're a Cowboys fan, but now you're in Broncos territory, right?
Yeah, we've got them all, man. You can't see it I'm a huge sports nut, as you know, but
of course.
We've got jerseys all over down in the basement down here, and we've got a whole corner for all the Broncos on the wall that you can't see. So, man, love to compete, love sports, and have been involved in sports since I was 3. So, sports fan.
Yes, I love it. All right, cool. Listen, you guys, Chris is awesome. He leads the Slang Worldwide team. SLNG, I believe, is your CSC ticker, and then SLGWF. Let me know if I got that wrong.
Spot on.
I'll let you jump right in. I'm sure there'll be Q&A, and then we got a little fun segue here. So you go right ahead, man.
You bet. Let me get our little share screen on here. And let's get to sharing.
There you go.
All right. Well, as you mentioned, Patrick, my name is Chris Dreesen. I'm the CEO and president of Slang Worldwide, and we're a CPG-focused cannabis company. Here's all the goodies that the lawyers make us tell you. I'm sure you can read all that fine print. But, Slang, even though we're in 13 state markets, Canada, Puerto Rico, we very much have a multi-state presence. We're not a multi-state operator. One of the things that really differentiates what we do, we've had a focus on brands since 2010. We own and operate the oldest licensed CO2 extraction lab in Colorado, maybe in the country. It's a lab that's still running today. It's a pending acquisition called Ally Concessions Group that's going to close literally just any minute here. But we're focused. We're all about the brands. We want to win in things like market share, market penetration. How many people are having a branded experience with our products? So we're not focused on limited license. We're not focused on being vertical through retail, but we are very much focused on purveying the most branded servings and branded units that we can. And we do that again across 13 states, Canada, Puerto Rico. That number's growing all the time. In fact, we're about this weekend, little shout out to our friends Trulieve. They've got their launch happening with their dispensary in Northampton, Massachusetts, and certainly our products will be on the shelves there. So we're excited to open up that market as well. And what really sets us apart, what makes us different than other so-called MSOs is many things, but we want to win in things, again, branded unit sales, branded servings. Our products can be found in over 2,200 plus points of retail distribution. And we break that down 3 different ways. The 3 ways Slang makes money are our core markets, and a core market, which I'll get into later, is a place where we grow it, we process it, we distribute it, we do it all soup to nuts up to wholesale. And we do that in Colorado, and we do that in Oregon. In our emerging markets, we form a strategic partnership with folks like Trulieve or Natura Life and Science out in California, Gage Cannabis out in Michigan. And what we do is we help them bring those products to market. So in the back of the house, we're helping them with SOP, automation, yield optimization, really all the deep science that goes into producing these products. How do you produce them as efficiently as you can, as effectively as you can? And then more importantly, what really sets us apart in our licensing program, which again, we call a strategic partnership, is that we then make sure that those products perform in market. And so Slang, again, is really top 10 in pretty much every market that we're in. And several of those markets were number 1. Colorado, we've been number 1 in vape since they've been keeping score. I think we're 6-7 years running now that we can say that. We're 2.5 times the next closest competitor. I call Denver home, just here outside of Denver, Colorado. And then the third way that we make money, so you've got our core markets, our emerging markets, and then the last way that we make money is through our T-Free channel. And T-Free stands for THC free. And that's where we do things like our CBD sales. We've SF Weekly ranked us the #1 sleep gummy in the country. Of course, that's our Lunchbox Alchemy CBD offering. I'm happy to report we just put out a stress SKU in that, going extremely well. It's in over 600 stores across the country, so a really big opportunity for growth. More recently, we've started an e-commerce channel, which is great because you get to go direct to consumer. Of course, your margins are much higher when you're going direct to consumer, so that helps us with profitability. But the thing that I get asked a lot about is, man, your emerging markets, your core markets, it's tea-free. I'm a little confused now. Exactly what does all that mean? So what we wanted to do was come up with a way, a common denominator, if you will, just so you can gauge the growth of the business. Now, obviously, you can look at financials. You know, our revenues increased now 3 straight quarters. I came into management and this past August, so proud to report that every quarter that this management team's been in place, that we've been able to increase revenue and decrease our losses. But gross merchandise value, it's a term that we talked about, you know, ancient history a long time ago. But what that means is the total value of all Slang branded products being sold wherever they're being sold into the world. And again, you can see the breakdown here between core markets, emerging markets, and our tea-free channel. And that was just for the first quarter of 2021. So again, core markets, Colorado and Oregon, our total dollars commanded on the retail shelf was just north of $20 million in the first quarter alone. In emerging markets, again, through our partnerships that we have, almost to $10 million in the first quarter. And that number grows constantly. Really, all 3 of these numbers are growing constantly, but especially our emerging markets. As we open up new states, we put more products into our existing markets that we're in. That number is growing, you know, extremely rapidly, and just shows no sign of slowing down. And then last but not least, our tea-free channel. We acquired Lunchbox Alchemy. It's a premium edibles manufacturer and distributor in Oregon this past October. And one of the highlights really has become their CBD offering. Again, I mentioned earlier, it's in over 600 stores. But with e-commerce, with the continued addition of new products into that portfolio, it's one of our biggest avenues for growth, which is great because it's also our highest margin channel. The percentage of the gross merchandise value that we capture in the tea-free channel exceeds 65%. So we're always excited to see that number grow because it's our highest margin channel that we operate in. So when you look at it from just the first quarter of this year, our gross merchandise value of our products was $32 million plus. And these are US dollars. We're a Canadian listed company, so we're reporting Canadian dollars, but we make almost all of our money in America. So all of these numbers are in USD. Out of that, Slang captured roughly $7.8 million in the first quarter. And that percentage of GMV that we capture is 24.22%. So I'm going to break that down a little bit about what that means in each of these markets. So core markets, again, Colorado and Oregon, we do it soup to nuts up to wholesale. And that allows for a few things. You know, we bought a cultivation asset, outdoor and greenhouse here in Colorado, closed on that this past December. The plants look beautiful. It's in a gorgeous place right outside of Aspen in Carbondale, Colorado on the western slope in the Roaring Fork Valley. But what that allows for is us to control and get better unit economics. So certainly when you grow it yourself, you're only paying cost, whereas if you're buying it on the open market, then you're paying a premium to do that. So it gives us a little bit of insulation in some of the raw material price fluctuations that you see time to time in these markets. Also gives us more flexibility within products. We produce fresh frozen material at that facility. We produce bulk outdoor material for things like gummies or distillate in that facility. We manufacture all these things. We've got the ability to do hydrocarbon processing, CO2 processing. We even co-pack for several other brands that want to leverage our infrastructure. And then last but not least, our greatest core competency in these core markets is that we self-distribute. We control the relationship, not only with the dispensary, but in many cases with the customer itself. And we do that by being able to self-distribute. So you can see here that just in the first quarter, our core market gross merchandise value was just north of $20 million. You know, Q1 for us generally from a seasonality standpoint is one of our softer quarters. Happy to report that we had the best April in company history from a revenue generation standpoint. So we expect that number is going to grow quarter over quarter, but particularly Q2, Q3, which is really the high season here in Colorado, which is where we have the heaviest distribution. In our emerging markets, you can see our list of strategic partners over here to the right of the screen. And this number is one that's one of the fastest growing within our company, one of our fastest channels. As I mentioned, we're about to go live with in Massachusetts, literally here today, tomorrow with Trulieve at their dispensary there in Mass. Washington is getting very close to going live, Washington State, that is. And then we've got gummies coming into places like Florida, into places like California, which will mark our re-entry into that market, where previously our District Edibles brand was the #1 selling gummy in the state. So you can look for this number to grow in a very rapid fashion as we move forward. T-Free, again, was one of our smallest channels where we sell hardware, we sell CBD, and this number is the fastest growing channel for us, which is great because it's the highest margin channel. Now, what does that mean? GMV, what are our objectives? What are Slang's goals as it relates to GMV? Well, first and foremost, you want to increase your total number. That total GMV number simply means that more people are buying more of your products wherever those products may be found. And secondly, we always want to be looking at how do we increase Slang's percentage of that GMV. So here's how we intend to do that. In our core markets, we continue to grow organically. We're seeing just absolutely phenomenal growth just in the Colorado and the Oregon market overall. In fact, in the vape category, the most recent BDS data shows that not only are we growing significantly, but we're outpacing the category by a full 20%. We're one of the only companies, I believe the only company in Colorado that's been actually able to raise our per unit price in the vape segment. And that's for two reasons. One, you're seeing a huge proliferation of 1 gram cartridges over half gram cartridges. And we're very early to the game with that and are by far the biggest 1 gram seller in Colorado. And then we're seeing great growth in Oregon as well. We bought Lunchbox Alchemy, allowed us to start consolidating supply chain assets there. Absolutely beautiful facility in Bend, Oregon, which is just one of the great towns in America. And we're distributing to, almost half of the stores in Oregon, which is great. The other thing that core markets, the way that we increase our percentage of GMV is to convert an emerging market into a core market. It wasn't so long ago, in fact, last year, that both Colorado and Oregon were both emerging markets for Slang. We've completed acquisitions in both of those markets, which is why you've seen a big increase in revenue, and i.e. in turn, a big increase in gross merchandise value, but it also increased the percentage of what we were getting in each of those markets. So being that we have so many partners across the continent, there's always the opportunity that we could look to convert one of those emerging markets into another core market. In our emerging markets, how do we increase the total? How do we increase the percentage? We increase the total GMV by continuing to introduce existing products into existing markets. Slang makes over 130 different SKUs in things like edibles, concentrates, ingestibles. And then, of course, we sell CBD hardware and obviously vape, which is where we're most dominant. We continue to develop new products and we introduce those new products into those existing markets. And then, of course, last but not least, we develop new strategic partnerships to open new markets. In fact, we're in conversations right now to open up 4 additional markets. One of the goals we set for ourselves as a business is that we want to sign 1 new strategic partner a quarter. We want to activate 1 new strategic partner a quarter. I'm very proud to say that we're on track to do that again this year and beyond. In fact, we're already filling up our schedule for what markets are we going to open next year. And generally speaking, that's about 1 per quarter. So when you combine all of those things, the total GMV grows. And then, of course, our percentage of that grows along with it. Last but not least, in our THC-free channel, we increase the total GMV by growing our CBD and hardware portfolio. We've got some exciting new hardware options that are going to be coming out, which is always well received because we are so widely distributed. And then, as I mentioned, our CBD portfolio, it continues to grow. We just released a stress SKU. It's been really well received by the market. We've got new distributors that have recently come online for us. So we're expecting that channel to see the fastest growth out of any of our three, which again is great because it's our highest margin channel. We capture almost 65% of the GMV in that channel. So we really are looking to grow that, whether that's through e-commerce, new distribution relationship, and new product entry. And then last but not least is again, like I just said, you want to increase the number of retail points where your products are sold. The wider net you cast, the more opportunity people have to have a branded moment or experience with one of our products. So this is going to be a metric that we're going to be reporting on going forward. So we wanted to introduce that here because Benzinga always has such a great audience. And it's just a common denominator so you can see the health of our business, the health of our brands. And again, we are multi-state, we are multi-international, or multinational, I should say, but we're not an MSO. We're different. And we want to focus on brands and we want to win with the consumer. So our biggest opportunities for growth as a company, just in general, are consolidation of those supply chain assets. Looking to bring things into our core markets that just give us better unit economics. Some examples, again, were the cultivation facility that we acquired last year. The same thing that we've done with Colorado and Oregon, making those now core markets. We can acquire new markets, whether that's an existing emerging market partner or an existing regional brand that we can then put into our best-in-class distribution. E-commerce has been great. We started in February. It's grown every single month, and obviously you're capturing 100% of the gross merchandise value via our e-commerce channel. And so that's something we really want to lean heavily into because it allows us to facilitate a relationship with the consumer in places where THC is not available today. Places like Texas is one of our strongest e-commerce markets, and certainly when that market opens up, and that's where I'm from, hence the Cowboy jerseys back behind me. But when that market opens up, there's already a relationship that the consumer has with our brands, which we've seen transition in other markets to increase THC sales. And then last but not least, we're gearing up to enter the flower category in 2022. We service so many dispensaries, we would be remiss to not go after the flower category as well. So with the assets that we're acquiring, with the relationships that we have, you can look for Slang to enter the flower category in 2022 in a big way. So we're excited for that. And that's what I have for you, Patrick.
Oh man, that was so cool. I loved hearing about what you're doing with GMV there. Now, I have one quick question for you. And really, before I say that, I want to highlight that all the time we talk about strategic partnerships, the importance of partnerships, right? And who are some of the biggest partners you have? Gage, Truly, Canopy Growth. Good God, man, you have a really, really good list of partners on your side, right?
Yeah, there's this notion out there that an MSO is not going to work with a brand company. They're going to do it themselves or only be their brands on the shelf. A big shout out to Kim. She was very early on to recognize the value of giving the consumer the perception of choice. Hey, you could buy the House Truly brand, which is at a certain price point. You could buy the name brand, ourselves and others that she works with. And I think the results speak for themselves. The scoreboard doesn't lie for her down there in Florida.
No, it never does. Never does. Now, quickly back to GMV, a rate of 24% that comes back to Slang. Is there a ballpark range that you'd like to see that in as it grows? As overall revenue grows, I would imagine there's a ton of different factors there, but what's ideal to you when it comes to that specific analytic?
Yeah, for the total GMV, we'd love to see that increase somewhere. We increased this past year 26%. So we'd love to see that grow roughly at that same clip. So you can expect that, for us, an objective is to grow that by 25% year over year. But maybe even more important than your total GMV is what percentage is coming back to the house? What's the mothership get from that? And again, I gave you all the different ways we do that. We'd love to see that increase somewhere in the 8 to 10% range per year. Now, eventually that'll plateau. That at some point, being a wholesaler, there's only so much you can get. You see that a lot of people Keystone Plus our products. And I think that just speaks to what the brand power we have, that they are be able to drive such a high GMV number because of our brand name. People come in, Michael just mentioned it on the past call with Body and Mind. You want to be the people that people come in and ask for by name. The bartender has such a great influential power, but when you come in and say, I want Open, I want District, I want Lunchbox, that's when you're winning with the consumer.
Yeah, no kidding. And you guys getting into flower is clearly going to be really, really important. Definitely a game changer. I'm excited for that, man.
Same.
So listen, I have you for maybe one more minute as we introduce this next segment. But this is all about the Benzinga Cannabis Alliance. What's coming up
I'm
now?
excited for it, man.
Yeah, you're involved. You're involved.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so I mean, let's use this segue about partners, right? With Canopy and Trulieve and Gage and some of these other folks that you're helping, right? You're bringing your brands to their businesses and and obviously helping them in a multitude of ways, right? What excites you about being a part of a platform like this and being in front of sort of the Benzinga cannabis business owner community here?
Yeah, you know what? My parents taught me a long time ago that life's a people game. Be good with people, understand how people work, be a good person, and generally the right thing's going to work out. And what BC kind of represents is the opportunity to aggregate a bunch of people together that are like-minded, that are working to help each other out. You know, Benzinga, obviously your platform speaks for itself. You guys are everywhere, not only in cannabis, but, in capital markets, kind of all around. So it's such a huge pulpit to kind of espouse your virtues from. That certainly was an attraction point. But then further than that, the people that you look to work with, the people that are actually doing things. And again, your past speaker said the same thing. Cannabis companies are talking to other cannabis companies. The
Right.
people that have made it through the ringer, generally speaking, are going to be around. They've withstood the test of time. So we want to surround ourselves with like-minded people that are aligned in culture, aligned in vision, and working to help each other. So it's good people helping out other good people, and that's what this industry really is all about.
I love that. I love that. I'm going to go ahead and bring on Ian and Jason. I think we have both of you, and I'll introduce you. Chris, I know we've borrowed your time today, so feel free to jump whenever you wish, man. But Jason Raznick, Benzinga's CEO.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course, man. Ian Bernstein from the Storage Business Owners Association and leading the charge with us